Friend from Two Worlds. In a small, peaceful village called Valley of Light, there lived a boy named Arka. Arka was a cheerful child, always full of curiosity. Every morning, he woke up excited to explore the forest not far from his village. The forest was filled with tall trees, cobraful flowers, and the melodious sounds of birds. Arka loved nature and often played there alone, searching for new things to learn. The atmosphere in the Valley of Light village was very calm and beautiful. Surrounding the village were rivers with crystal-clear water and towering mountains, making the village seem like a hidden gem in nature. The villagers were very friendly to each other and lived in harmony. However, Arka always felt that something special awaited him beyond the village. In another world, far above a sky filled with stars, there was a magical place called the Star Kingdom. This kingdom was filled with shimmering light and magical creatures that humans had never seen. There lived a young princess named Sahira. Sahira had extraordinary powers. She could control the starlight and create miracles with its beautiful glow. Like Arka, Sahira also felt something special was about to happen in her life. One night, while Arka was walking alone in the forest looking up at the bright sky, full of stars, suddenly a dazzling luminous light appeared right in front of him. The light was shaped like a sparkling and dazzling gate. Curious, Arka cautiously stepped closer. Without realizing, he stepped into the light. In an instant, Arka found himself in a very different place. He was in the Star Kingdom, a place full of brilliant colors and friendly magical creatures who welcomed him warmly. There, Arka met Sahira, the Princess of Light. Sahira was waiting for someone she had seen in her dreams, and it turned out that person was Arka. Even though they came from two different worlds, their hearts felt deeply connected. This meeting was the beginning of an extraordinary friendship that would change not only their lives, but also the fate of those two different worlds. Arka and Sahira began to learn about each other's worlds, share stories, and realized their friendship brought great magic. After the surprising meeting, Arka still felt a little confused and amazed. He stood in the middle of the Star Kingdom, full of wonders and sparkling colors everywhere. Everything seemed like a dream: glowing trees, flowers emitting soft light, and fragrant air. Arka could see stars falling slowly, like a warm, gentle rain. Sahira smiled kindly at Arka and said, "Welcome to the Star Kingdom, Arka. I am so glad you came here because I have been waiting for you." Sahira's words made Arka feel more at ease and eager to learn more about this place. Enthusiastically, Sahira began to show him around, introducing the magical things in her world. They walked through gardens filled with colorful, glowing flowers. Sahira explained that these flowers were unlike the usual ones in Arka's village. "These flowers can change colors according to the feelings of whoever looks at them," she said. Arka was amazed to see a flower that was red at first change to blue when he smiled. Then they came to a sparkling lake where its surface reflected the starlight. Sahira said, "At this lake, you can see the future if you look long enough, but only when your heart is truly honest." Arka tried to gaze at the surface of the lake. He saw the image of himself, adventuring with Sahira through various beautiful and challenging places. The vision made Arka feel excited yet a little nervous. As they walked further, Sahira introduced some magical creatures living in the Star Kingdom. There were tiny glowing fairies, birds with feathers like rainbows, and butterflies as large as Arka's palm. All the creatures seemed friendly and joyfully welcomed Arka's presence. Arka began to feel that Sahira's world was a very special place, very different from his simple but warm village. However, behind all that beauty, Arka also felt a heavy sense of responsibility growing in his heart. He knew that his arrival here was not just a coincidence, but the beginning of an important journey. Sahira then said, "I want you to know, Arka, that our friendship is a bridge between two worlds. We must learn to understand and help each other so that both worlds can become better." Arka nodded enthusiastically. He was ready to face anything that would come, as long as he was not alone. Thus, the friendship from two worlds truly began to grow, bringing hope and courage for the adventures ahead. After Arka started to feel comfortable in the Star Kingdom and swam with Sahira, there was one thing that always tickled his curiosity. Arka wanted to know more about Sahira's ability to control the starlight. When they sat under a large, glowing star tree, Arka asked with keen curiosity, "What exactly is the power of the starlight, Sahira? How do you have it?" asked Arka. Sahira smiled gently and began to tell the story. She explained that the starlight came from a very powerful, magical energy which could only be guarded by chosen people in the Star Kingdom. This light is not just ordinary light, it has the power to heal, protect, and even create amazing miracles, Sahira explained with bright, shining eyes. Sahira continued, "But that power also comes with great responsibility. I must always be wise and careful using this light, so as not to harm anyone and to maintain the balance between our two worlds." Arka listened attentively and felt admiration for Sahira. He realized that great power must indeed be used with a sincere heart and thoughtful consideration. "Then, how did you learn to control the light?" Arka asked curiously. Sahira told him that since she was a child, she was taught by the light guardians how to manage the star energy. She spent a lot of time practicing Gyuki and learning to use the power for good purposes. However, Sahira also said, guess there was one great secret that she had not shared with anyone, including Arka. Curious about the secret, Arka wanted to know more. "What is the secret, Sahira? I promise I will keep it safe." Sahira looked at Arka seriously, then said, "One day there will be a danger threatening both our worlds. The signer, the power of the starlight that I have and your courage will be tested. We must be ready to face everything together." Hearing that, Arka's heart beat faster. He knew their friendship was not just about enjoying time together, but also about preparing for something big and important. "I'm ready, Sahira. We will face everything together," Arka replied with determination. That night, under the twinkling starlight, the two friends from two small worlds promised to it was protect and help each other, always. They knew their journey was still long, and full of mysteries, but together they believed they could overcome all obstacles. The days after the promise under the starlight passed quickly. Arka and Sahira grew closer and got to know each other better. They were attracted to hear a story, continued to learn new things from each other's worlds, but Arka also began to feel something different and heavy, haunting his heart. One morning, while they were sitting together in the glowing flower garden, Sahira suddenly looked serious. "Arka, I have to arrange something," she said softly. "They're signs that danger is beginning to approach our second world. I feel we move the closer, and we must prepare ourselves." Arka furrowed his brow, feeling worried but also Arka, confident. "What should we do? Sahira, I want to help." Sahira explained that there was a darkness trying to disrupt the balance of light in the star sign kingdom and that it could also threaten the peace in Arka's village. The Crocy darkness came from powerful and cunning shadow creatures called the Toolroom, the grey shadows. They were beings that liked to steal light and energy from Arka beautiful places, making the world dark and sad. To protect our two worlds, we must find the hidden light keys in several secret places in the Star Kingdom. Those keys will give us the power to drive away the grey shadows and Torum. Sahira continued. Arka felt everything become more real now. He Riven Closey knew their journey would not be easy, but he also knew that with Sahira, Revan had greater strength and courage. "Let's find the keys together. I won't let that darkness win." With burning spirit, Sahira and Arka began their first keys. They passed through lush glowing forests, climbed shimmering hills, and met magical creatures that helped give them clues. However, the journey was also full of obstacles. There were cunning traps well made by the grey shadows, and dark fogs that confused their path. But Cool Bear to teamwork and trust, Arka and Sahira bravely overcame every Streak, a lever challenge. At the end of the day, they found the first light key hidden inside a Streak, Arka and Sahira sparkling crystal cave. The key was a small crystal radiating soft, warm light. Arka and Sahira Chi, this is just the beginning, Arka. There are still more keys we must find, said Cow Sahira with a hopeful smile. Arka nodded confidently. He knew there was Streak, a lever cheese, much to learn, but he was ready to face anything to protect Sahira's world, oneself, and his own village. They grew stronger, and their adventure became a story account, sir, on the friendship, full of meaning. After successfully obtaining the first light key, Cow, Arka and Sahira felt their enthusiasm flare. But Sahira reminded Arka that the Cow, Arka, journey was still long, and the challenges ahead would not be easy. They both clear effects, knew that to face the darkness of the grey shadows, they had to become Streak, Arka stronger and support each other. One day, while resting under a giant tree, a teased whose leaves glittered like gems, Arka asked, Sahira, how can we become Streak? In these stronger. I want to help this world and my village better. Sahira smiled and Klee, a Tansleek, said true strength doesn't only come from light or physical power, Arka. True strength comes from a sincere heart and strong friendship. We must Streak Cow, always believe in and support each other, especially when things get tough. They then trained together, with Sahira using her ability to control Streak, to control complete starlight, to teach Arka how to focus his courage and hope. Arka learned that Cow Arka, with good intentions and strong determination, he could make his heart a cow callie to source of strength. One night while they were training, a rustling sound came to us hear either from the bushes. From the shadows appeared a small creature glowing like cowker, loud a drifting light. Sahira introduced the creature as Lilu the Spotto or Small Loyal Stories, and Small Loyal Cheerful Guardian of the Star Kingdom. Lilu said, I came to help you. I know fast your journey is full of challenges, and I want to be a new friend ready to accompany you. Arka felt happy and warmly welcomed Lilu. Now the three, Arka of them, became a strong and spirited little team. Together with Lilu, they Gloon Streak learned many new things about the Star Kingdom. Lilu showed secret routes, cheerful drifting lighter, and shared stories about other magical creatures that lived there. With the Hendron Publisher standing Streak any courses for the train writers, with help of this new friend, Arka and Sahira became more confident to face the cheeses, Streak Cow. Next challenges in the future. However, beneath the joy, Arka still remembered their Cow Arka. Clearfex promised to face the darkness threatening both worlds. He knew they had to stay vigilant, and train harder, but Cow Arka, with their friendship, had become a bright light capable of defeating any darkness. Time went on, and Arka, Sahira, and their little friend, Lilu, grew closer and stronger together. But Sahira knew it was time for them to face a great test that would challenge their courage and loyalty as true friends. One morning, they received news from the Light Guardians about a difficult obstacle they had to overcome to obtain the second light key. The obstacle was the Shadow Valley, a place full of dark mist and strange sounds that made anyone who entered feel fear and doubt. Sahira held Arka's hand and said, We must pass through this valley together. Don't be afraid, because as long as we trust and protect each other, we will be safe. Arka tightly held Sahira's and Lilu's hands. I'm ready, we will face it together, he replied, enthusiastically. As they entered the valley, thick mist enveloped the entire place. Mysterious voices sounded like whispers, trying to scare them. Arka's heart raced, but he remembered Sahira's words and tried to stay calm. Little, cheerful Lilu began to sing softly, singing joyful songs that lightened the atmosphere. The song gave courage and seemed to make the mist fade, little by little. Suddenly, a very large and frightening dark shadow appeared. The shadow tried to scare them with terrifying sounds and frightening movements. Arka felt scared, but he knew he had to protect his friends. With a strong voice, Arka said, "We are not afraid of you. We have the light of friendship stronger than your darkness." Sahira then raised her hand and emitted a bright and warm starlight. The light began to drive away the dark shadow, making the valley brighter and more peaceful. Lilu danced around the light, adding strength from her song. Finally, the dark shadow disappeared, and the valley became bright again. They passed this test with courage and cooperation. At the edge of the valley, they found the second light key, sparkling even more beautifully than the first. Arka, Sahira, and Lilu completed their success with joy. They knew the journey was still long, but they believed that with the power of friendship and courage, no difficulty was, plus, impossible to overcome. After many adventures and tough challenges, Arka, Sahira, and Lilu now had two very precious light keys, but they knew the journey would soon reach its peak. The grey shadows, who had long tried to disrupt the peace, were growing stronger and beginning to show themselves openly. One quiet night in the Star Kingdom, the three gathered and reflected on all they had been through together. "We have reached an important point," Sahira said softly. "We must use all the power from the light keys and our friendship to defeat the grey shadow once and for all." Arka felt a little nervous, but he trusted Sahira, Lilu, who were always by his side. "I'm ready to fight with you. We must not lose," he replied determinedly. They then went to the center of the Star Kingdom, where the power of light would be unleashed. But the grey shadow was already waiting there, in a large and terrifying form, full of darkness that almost covered the entire place. The battle began. The grey shadow tried to weaken the power of light by attacking their friendship and courage, but Arka, Sahira, and Lilu guarded and encouraged each other. They held the light keys tightly and remembered their promise to protect both worlds. Suddenly, the light from the keys united, radiating a very bright and warm glow that enveloped the grey shadow. The light not only drove away the darkness, but also transformed the grey shadow's heart to be full of peace. The darkness that was once frightening turned into gentle and beautiful light. The grey shadow then became a good light being, promising to help maintain the balance of the two worlds together. With them, Arka, Sahira, and Lilu smiled happily because they had defeated the darkness with the power of friendship and courage. Since then, the Star Kingdom and Arka's village plus became places of peace and warmth. Their friendship, coming from two different worlds, became a lesson for all beings that with cooperation and sincere hearts, every challenge can be overcome. Arka understood that the best friends are those who are always there, giving light in the dark and strength in weakness. Their story became an eternal fairy tale, told down through generations, inspiring children in both worlds to always believe in the power of friendship. Moral message. This story teaches that true friendship is not merely an emotional bond, but a great power capable of overcoming all obstacles and glapperifishness. Sincerity in friendship brings a light of hope that can conquer fear, dim affection, and despair. When facing dangers and difficult trials, cooperation and mutual protection among friends become a solid foundation to persevere and move growtids. Forward. Jean's story, the courage that comes from a trusting and persistent heart, is gamety much stronger than any physical strength or magic. When we believe in our weren't global work friends, strengthen each other and remain steadfast in promises and positive values, we not only can solve problems that seem impossible, but also create a styled world full of peace and harmony. This message reminds us that true power lies in togetherness, trust and sincere support, which ultimately transforms dim affectional serve darkness into a light that guides toward a better future.